Howdy, everybody. Thanks for logging on. The live stream concert of my cowboy songs. My new record, Trade Songs American West, is out now at martingilmore.bandcamp.com. Head on over there and get it. Name your own price. Pay what you want. Whatever you think independent music is worth. If you don't have any money right now, give me your email address so I can put you on my email list. I'd be grateful for it. Here's the first song from the record, one by Harry McClintock, called The Big Rock Candy Mountains. One evening as the sun went down and the jungle fires were burning, down a track came a hobo hiking, and he said, "Boys, I'm not turning. I'm headed for a land that's far away beside the crystal fountains. So come with me, we'll go and see the Big Rock Candy Mountains. In the Big Rock Candy Mountains, there's a land that's fair and bright, where the handouts grow on bushes and you sleep out every night, where the boxcars all are empty and the sun shines every day, and the birds and the bees and the cigarette trees, the lemonade springs where the bluebird sings, in the Big Rock Candy Mountains. In the Big Rock Candy Mountains, all the cops have wooden legs, and the bulldogs all have rubber teeth, and the hens lay soft-boiled eggs. The farmers' trees are full of fruit, and the barns are full of hay. I'm bound to go where there ain't no snow, and the rain don't fall, and the wind don't blow, in the Big Rock Candy Mountains. Candy Mountains, you'll never change your socks, and little streams of alcohol come a-trickling down the rocks. The brakemen have to tip their hats, and the railway bulls are blind. There's a lake of stew and of whiskey too, you can paddle all around it in a big canoe, in the Big Rock Candy Mountains. In the Big Rock Candy Mountains, the jails are made of tin, and you can walk right out again as soon as you are in. There ain't no short-handled shovels, no axes, saws, nor picks. I'm bound to stay where you sleep all day, where they hung the jerk that invented work, in the Big Rock Candy Mountains. Well, I'll see you all this coming fall in the Big Rock Candy Mountains. Yeah. Harry McClintock, that song is so great. A song about a hobo's paradise. Who'd have thought? I don't know if I want to go to a hobo's paradise. Maybe. Every time I hear about one, it doesn't sound that good. Let's see, I need my finger picks for this next song. I got a whole bowl of finger picks here on my desk. There we go. I had a great show at Swallow Hill last night, and a sold-out show, listening to Jimmie Rodgers songs, which next week, this same time, I'll be playing Jimmie Rodgers songs right here on this channel. So if you'd like to log on for another Sunday afternoon concert, come on by. Have some new lights. Trying to step up this YouTube thing. If you're there listening, say howdy in the chat. Say howdy in the comments. Say howdy in general. Here's a song that a lot of people have recorded, a classic old American folk song about a guy who was a hard-working guy. He worked so hard he died. That's harder than I ever worked. When they used to dig tunnels for trains or dig mines, usually they worked in teams. There were sometimes there was just one guy, and kind of the system was you would hold like a spike in one hand and a hammer in the other, and you'd put the spike against the wall and then hit it with a hammer. And the spike kind of had like a screwdriver bit, so then you turn it and you hit it again, and you kind of make these X's, these crosses, plus signs, whatever you want to say. And then when you've kind of drilled a hole, they'd put blasting powder or dynamite in it and set it off and blow it up. So there was sometimes one guy did it, chipping away at the rock. Sometimes there were two guys, and the one guy who swung the hammer, he was called the driver. And then the guy who held the spike, he was called the shaker. Some people said it was because he was scared, or maybe it was because he turned the spike as it went. But in this song, John Henry is the driver, and he talks to his shaker. So this is a two-man team. They called them Double Jacks. And yeah, here it is. When John Henry was a little baby boy, sitting on his daddy's knee, well, he picked up a hammer and a little piece of steel. He said, hammer's gonna be the death of me, Lord, Lord. This hammer's gonna be the death of me. Well, John Henry says to the captain, well, I'm just a Tennessee man. I can drive more steel in the limestone rock than 100 men can drive into the sand. Yes, I can. 100 men can drive into the sand. While the captain, he says to John Henry, gonna bring me a steam drill around. Gonna take that steam drill out on the line. I'm gonna whop that steel on down, Lord, Lord. Gonna whop that steel on down. Well, John Henry says to that captain, I may not be nothing but a man, but before I let some old steam drill beat me down, I'm gonna die with a hammer in my hand. Yes, I am gonna die with a hammer in my hand. And John Henry says to the shaker, man, shaker, you had better sing, 'cause I'm swinging 50 pounds from my hips on down. Listen to that cold, cold steel ring, Lord, Lord. Listen to that cold steel ring. Well, the man who invented the steam drill, he thought that it was mighty fine, but John Henry drove all of 15 feet, while the steam drill only made 9, oh Lord, the steam drill only made 9. Well, John Henry drove through the mountain, when he broke on through the other side, he went to the captain and he looked him in the eye. Then he laid down his hammer and he died, oh Lord. He laid down his hammer and he died. So you could talk about John Henry as much as you please, sing a hymn all that you can, but there never was born in these United States never such a steel driving man, Lord, Lord. John Henry was a steel driving man. John Henry was a steel driving man, Lord, oh Lord. John Henry was a steel driving man. There you go. I thought I'd play most of the songs kind of in order, and then at the end I'll play some other songs that are related to the American West, but are not on a new record. So yeah, if you have any requests, feel free to send them my way. And yeah. This whole record kind of came about because I teach classes at the University of Denver in the enrichment school, and I did a class on cowboy music. Hi, Jeff. I did a class on cowboy music, and I do these programs also for the National Park Service. I've presented these programs at Scottsbluff National Monument, Fort Laramie National Historic Site, and lots of other places. But when I was doing the class at DU, talking about the history of cowboy music, I had pretty interesting stuff, and I kind of got to listen to a bunch of old records, and I found this old cowboy singer from the 1920s whose name was Carl Sprague. He was from Texas, and he recorded this version of this song. This is a really famous song. Johnny Cash recorded it. A lot of people have recorded it, but there's the modern version that we know is a bit different than this one. And I thought Carl Sprague's version was so haunting and pretty that I thought I would record it, reinvent it. It's his melody, or maybe he learned it from somebody. Maybe it's more traditional than that. It's hard to know where these melodies came from, because a lot of these songs were written down in cowboy books, and they're just the lyrics. Sometimes there's maybe a melody suggestion, sometimes not. But this one I got from that Carl Sprague record, so I'm not sure whose melody it is. Maybe it's his, maybe it's somebody else's. This is called The Dying Cowboy. It's also called Bury Me Not on the Lone Prairie. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie. These words came low and mournfully from the pallid lips of a youth who lay on his dying bed at the close of day. He'd wailed in pain till over his brow death's shadows shore were gathering now, and he thought of home and of loved ones nigh as the cowboys gathered to see him die. Oh, bury me now on the lone prairie, where the coyotes howl and the wind blows free, and a shallow grave just 6 by 3. Oh, bury me now on the lone prairie. they took no heed of his dying prayer. In a narrow grave, just 6x3, they buried him there on the lonely prairie. And the cowboys now, as they roam the plain, for they marked the spot where his bones were laid, fling a handful of roses over his grave, and they pray to God his soul to save. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie. Yeah, thanks. That's a sad one. Sad song from an old time. Let's see. Thanks, Jeff. Oh, good. Got to do the house chores. Glad I could be there to help you out with that. Let's see. Here's a song I got from Jack Thorpe. Jack Thorpe wrote a great song about cowboys as well, or a great book about cowboys. He was a cowboy and kind of a musical person. He was from New York City and moved out west to work in the cowboy trade, to work on trail drives. And some of the songs that he had written found their way into the John Lomax Cowboy Songs book, and they were not credited to him, and he was not happy about that. So he wrote a book of cowboy songs too. And this is one that he wrote about his horse, about one of his favorite horses. Cowboys on the trail oftentimes had many horses that they traveled with, and they would put them in a group that was kind of steered by a guy they called the Wrangler. The group of horses was the Remuda. And so throughout the drive, the Wrangler would bring up new horses, fresh horses for the cowboys so they could work on the trail drive. And I think probably they all had horses they didn't like. They all had horses that they liked a lot. This is a song that Jack Thorpe wrote about his horse Chapo. And that's the name of the song, Chapo. Through rocky arroyos so dark and so deep, down the side of a mountain so slippery and steep, you've good judgment, sure-footed wherever you go. You're a safety conveyance, my little Chapo. Chapo, my pony, Chapo, my pride, Chapo, mi amigo. On Chapo I'll ride from Mexico's border, across Texas, ya know, the Salt Pecos River, I ride you, Chapo. Whether single or double or lead of a team over highways and byways or crossing the stream, you're always in fix and willing to go whenever you're called on, my Chico, Chapo. Chapo, my pony, Chapo, my pride, Chapo, mi amigo. Chapo, I'll ride from Mexico's borders, across Texas, ya know, the Salt Pecos River, I ride you, Chapo. You're a good roping horse, tied to a steer. You circle him round, let him once cross the string, and over he'll go. You saw, baby, business, my cowboys. Chapo, Chapo, my pony, Chapo, my pride, Chapo, mi amigo. On Chapo I ride from Mexico's borders, cross Texas, ya know, the Salt Pecos River I ride you, Chapo. One day on the Llano, a hailstorm began. Their herds were stampeded, their horses all ran. The lightning it glittered, a cyclone did blow, but you faced the sweet music, my little Chapo. Chapo, my pony, Chapo, my pride, Chapo, mi amigo. On Chapo I'll ride from Mexico's borders, cross Texas, y'all know, the Salt Pecos River I ride you, Chapo. From Mexico's borders, cross Texas, y'all know, the Salt Pecos River I ride you, Chapo. Yeah, it's a nice song about a pet, a companion, whatever you want to call it. This record is for trade. That's why I call it Trade Songs. Trade Songs American West. And songs from the American West, folk songs. These are songs that I learned for my programs and stuff. And I was, many times that I presented the program, people were asking for CDs. It's expensive to print CDs, and not everybody has a CD player anymore. I found that both my cars still have CD players, but I have a lot of fans and people who come to buy CDs at my shows and say, I don't even have a way to play this anymore. And CDs are expensive to print, so instead I'm offering it as a digital download through Bandcamp, bandcamp.com, and the trade-off is you can name your price, pay what you want, whatever you can afford, whatever you want to pay me. But also people who come to my shows or people who like going to the post office can trade me items for this record. And I used to do this with the fiddle player in my bluegrass band, Long Road Home, with Justin Hoffenberg. He and I recorded a record in his basement, and we would trade it for stuff. And one time we were in Canada, and somebody gave us an otter skull, that was pretty weird. And we got a cassette tape of Purple Rain. We got an LP of Dr. Banjo Steps Out, Pete Warnick's record. It was always really fun. Lots of other crazy stuff. So I'm telling people I'll take anything in trade for this record as long as it's not illegal, offensive, or gross. We left the otter skull in Canada. I wasn't sure if we could bring it back across the border. That sounded like we were asking for trouble. But it was really cool. You don't have to send that. You could send me anything. Or go over to martingilmore.bandcamp.com. Here, I'll put it up on up here so you can see. That's not it. I gotta get the right one. Here's some web. There we go. I gotta figure out which one to click. There we go. I found it. martingilmore.bandcamp.com. And you can get the record. It's right there. Get all my records there at Bandcamp. Bandcamp's a great place to find records. So yeah, head on over there. Here's a song that I got from the Cartwright brothers. Not from the TV show. This is a couple of guys who played cowboy songs, and it's was the way they do it on the old scratchy recording is kind of this eerie, haunting thing. But it's a song about a battle, so I was like, it's got to have more of a groove and more of a beat to it. So this is called the Texas Rangers. Texas Rangers, wherever you might be. I'll tell you of some troubles that happened to me. My name is nothing extra, so that I will not tell. And here's to all you Rangers, I'm sure I wish you well. Was at the age of 17, I joined the Jolly Band. We marched from San Antonio down by the Rio Grande. Captain, he informed us, perhaps he thought it right, that before we reached the station, we surely have to fight. And when the bugle sounded, our captain gave command. To arms, he shouted, and by your horses stand. I saw the smoke ascending, it seemed to reach the sky. And then the thought it struck me, my time had come to die. When the enemy was coming, I heard him give a yell. My feelings in that moment, no tongue could ever tell. I heard the pounding hoofbeats, the bullets round me flew, and all my strength had left me, and all my courage too. Well, we fought for 9 hours fully before the strife was over. The lights were dead and wounded, I never saw it before. And when the sun was rising, the enemy had fled. We loaded up our rifles and counted up our dead. And all of us were wounded, our noble captain was slain. Sun was shining sadly across the bloody plain. 17 brave Rangers, who's ever roamed the West, were buried by their comrades, bullets in their breast. And now my song is ended, I guess I've sung enough. The life of any ranger, I'm sure he's very tough. If you're in this condition, I know you'd like to grow. I advise you by experience, you better stay at home. Yeah. The Texas Rangers. You know, my great-grandmother, who I knew, she lived to be 100 years old. She was born in 1908. She died in 2009. Almost 101, not quite. Oops. Forgot what song I was playing. But her brother was a Texas Ranger. Somewhere around Amarillo. She's kind of one of my ties to the Old West. A lot of times we think about that history being so long ago, but boy, it's still really present in a lot of places. And you know, Wyatt Earp died in the 1920s, and he was one of the icons of the Old West. It's not really as far removed maybe as we thought it was. I guess the 1920s is 100 years ago, but 100 years this isn't really that long in the whole context of human history. And a lot of the things that happened back then are still influencing culture and development in America and all that. Pretty interesting. There's a lot of mythology that developed around cowboys and continues to develop around cowboys and all that. This is a song called I'm Leaving Cheyenne. Goodbye, old paint, I'm leaving Cheyenne. Goodbye, old paint. I'm leaving Cheyenne. I'm leaving Cheyenne. I'm off to Montana. Goodbye, old paint. I'm leaving Cheyenne. My foot's in the stirrup, the bridle's in my hand. I'm riding old paint. I'm leaving Cheyenne. Goodbye, old paint. I'm leaving Cheyenne. Goodbye, old paint. I'm leaving Cheyenne. Leaving Cheyenne. I'm off to Montana. Goodbye, old paint. I'm leaving Cheyenne. Oh, Paint's a good pony. He paces when he can. Goodbye, my darling. I'm leaving Cheyenne. Goodbye, old paint. I'm leaving Cheyenne. Goodbye, old paint. I'm leaving Cheyenne. I'm riding old paint. I'm leading old fan. I'm leaving this city, bound for Montana. Goodbye, old paint. I'm leaving Cheyenne. I'm leaving Cheyenne. I'm off to Montana. Goodbye, old paint. I'm leaving Cheyenne. Go hitch up your horses and give them some hay and sit yourself by me as long as you may. My horses ain't hungry, they won't eat your hay. My wagon is loaded, it's rolling away. Goodbye, old paint, I'm leaving Cheyenne. Goodbye, old paint, I'm leaving Cheyenne. I'm leaving Cheyenne. I'm off to Montana. Goodbye, old paint. I'm leaving Cheyenne. I'm leaving Cheyenne. I'm off to Montana. Goodbye, old paint. I'm leaving Cheyenne. Yeah, thanks everybody. I used to live in Cheyenne. My parents still live there. Where the wind blows. There was a fire yesterday. I saw up on the Wyoming border. I still get up there from time to time, but I remember singing that song when I left, when I came down to Denver. I said, oh, I'm leaving Cheyenne. But I didn't go to Montana. I came to Denver. So the song isn't 100% true for me. Here's kind of an obscure old song. This is one that came to California, and it's kind of, you can hear it's kind of rooted in like a sea shanty style. The chorus with "Go Boys Go" or "Ho Boys Ho," and I think, like, especially those of us who grew up around here in the West, we think about like people who go into California took wagons, but there were a lot of people who took ships around Cape Horn through the Drake Passage, really terrible, rough seas, and a lot of, you know, almost as many, if not more, people traveled by steamship around to California. And it was dangerous. A lot of those steamships sunk, and it was a hard trip no matter what you did. It was also more expensive to go that way than just walking. Walking's pretty cheap in terms of money. It's not that cheap in terms of wear and tear on your body. I'm I've never walked across the country, but that's just because I haven't had the opportunity yet. If you've ever walked across the country, let us know in the comments. So here's one called California. All right, 1, 2. I don't have to count it off. It's just me. When we formed our band, we were all well manned as we journeyed afar to the promised land. The golden ore is rich in store on the banks of the Sacramento shore. Go, boys, go, to California, go. There's plenty of gold in the world, I'm told, on the banks of the Sacramento shore. Well, as oft we roam o'er the dark seas foam, we'll not forget kind friends at home. Memory kind still brings to mind the love of friends we left behind. Go, boys, go, to California, go. There's plenty of gold in the world, I'm told, on the banks of the Sacramento shore. We'll expect our share of the coarsest ferries, sometimes sleep in the open air. On the cold damp ground we'll all sleep sound, except the wolves go howling around. Go, boys, go, to California, go. There's plenty of gold in the world, I'm told, on the banks of the Sacramento shore. As we explore to the distant shore, filling our pockets with a shining roar. How it'll sound as the shout goes round, filling our pockets with a dozen pounds. The gold is there almost anywhere. Dig it out rich with an iron bar, but where it's thick with a spade or pick, take out chunks as big as a brick. Go, boys, go, to California, go. There's plenty of gold in the world, I'm told, on the banks of the Sacramento shore. Go, boys, go, to California, go. There's plenty of gold in the world, I'm told, on the banks of the Sacramento shore. Yeah. There's a lot of old sea shanties that are about Sacramento, and some of those songs found their way into a pretty great book by Carl Sandburg called The American Song Bag, which is if you want to learn a bunch of folk songs told to you by a poet, it's a pretty great book. It's worth the money. This song's also from that book. Where I grew up in Wyoming, Wheatland, Wyoming. I was born in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, and grew up in Gearing. Gearing and Scottsbluff are both right together. And my house was on the Oregon Trail where I grew up. It was definitely wagons going over the land where my house was as they headed through Mitchell Pass there at Scottsbluff National Monument, what is now Scottsbluff National Monument, and went that way over to Fort Laramie, and then followed the North Platte River up to Casper, and then to the Sweetwater River, and then over South Pass. And once they got to South Pass, that's where the trails kind of diverged. So everybody who was traveling on the Oregon Trail or the California Trail or the Mormon Trail all took that same route. There's a great book written about that route by Merrill Mattis called The Great Platte River Road. And it kind of tells the story of it's the history of what it was like to travel on that trail. It's pretty brutal in all cases. I mean, out there now, it's the place that I call home, that I still think of as my home and where I'm from. But a lot of people died on that trip. You know, it was really hard. And when people died on that trail, they would just bury them right there on the trail. So fairly often, or with some frequency anyway, they find graves of folks who were buried on the route. And I remember when I was a kid, they found some graves up by Glendo, Wyoming, and I just, having a kid now, makes me think, what would it be like to leave your kid behind there in a place you know you would never come back to, or even probably never be able to find, even if you could ever come back to it. And that's it. So this is a song kind of about that, called The Colorado Trail. Eyes like the morning star, cheeks like a rose. Laura was a pretty girl, God mighty knows. Weep all you little rains, wail winds, wail, all along, along, along the Colorado Trail. Laura was a laughing girl, joyful all the day. Laura was my darling girl, now she's gone away. Weep all you little rains, wail winds, wail, all along, along, along the Colorado Trail. Well, now 16 years she graced the earth, and all my life was good. Now my life lies buried beneath the cross of wood. Weep all your little rains, wail winds, wail, all along, along, along the Colorado. Weep all your little rains, wail winds, wail, all along, along, along the Colorado Trail. Yeah, thanks. That's a pretty one. Well, I'll play the last one that's from the record, and then I'll play a couple more. Again, the record is available at martingilmore.bandcamp.com. Head on over there and get your copy. Download your copy. Once you download it, you own it. So you can burn it to a CD, put it in your iTunes. It's not like on Spotify where you're just streaming it or just kind of renting it. it's your song, your music. If you're not familiar with Bandcamp and you like supporting independent artists, Bandcamp is a great place to do that. It's they pay artists pretty fairly. They definitely pay a lot better than other services that do the same kind of thing. And yeah, I would strongly recommend that you check it out. There's a lot of amazing music there that is hard to find on places like Spotify and iTunes. Not that it's not there, but it's just easier to find independent music over there at bandcamp.com, including my records. And you can pay what you want, whatever you feel like you want to pay. If you would like to trade something, send me a message, either through my website, martingilmore.com. I'll put that site up too. You can find it there, or you could send me a message through Bandcamp or wherever, through social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you want to do. And we'll figure out how to get it if you have something that you'd really like to trade. I love books. I love gardening stuff and lots of things. Send me a message if you have something. If you're like, oh, I like this, but I don't want to give it to Goodwill, but I'd like it to go to somebody who would appreciate it. This is a great place to do that. And I'll trade you for a record. That's the whole ethos of this project. Cool. Well, I'll play this one. This is the last one from the record, the last track on the record. Another one that I got from Carl Sprague, and also Don Edwards. I'm not sure where I learned this, but when I listened to the Don Edwards recording, I realized, oh, this melody is the same one that he plays. I don't know if it's the traditional one or if it's one that he made up, but I definitely knew it before I had heard the Don Edwards version. But the Don Edwards version is amazing. If you've never listened to Don Edwards, he's so great. What was so great. An amazing performer and historian of cowboy music. Here's When the Work's All Done next fall. Well, a group of jolly cowboys discussing plans at ease. Says one, I'll tell you something, if you will listen, please. I'm an old cowpuncher, I'm here all dressed in rags. I used to be a tough one and go on great big jags. But I have got a home, boys, and a good one, you all know. Although I have not seen it since many long years ago. I'm headed back to Dixie once more to see them all. I'm going to see my mother when the work's all done this fall. Well, when I left my home, boys, my mother for me cried. She begged me not to go, boys, for me she would have died. My mother's heart is breaking, break for me, that's all. With God's help I'll see her when the work's all done this fall. This very night the cowboy went out to stand his guard. The night was dark and stormy, it was storming very hard. The cattle, they got frightened, they rushed in a wild stampede. Cowboys tried to head up, riding at full speed. While riding in the darkness, so loudly he did shout, trying his best to head up and turn the herd about. His saddle horse did stumble, and on him he did fall. The boy will not see his mother when the work's all done this fall. So said my mom, my wages, the wages I have earned. I am so afraid, boys, my last year I have turned. I hear the master's call, and I'll not see my mother when the work's all done this fall. George, you take my saddle, and Bill, you take my bed. Jack, you take my pistol after I am dead. Think upon me kindly when you look down on them all, for I'll not see my mother when the work's all done this fall. Poor Charlie was buried at sunrise, no tombstone on his head. Nothing but a little board, and this is what it said. Charlie died at daybreak, he died from a fall, and will not see his mother when the work's all done next fall. Yeah. Thanks, y'all. I'll play a couple of songs that I wrote just that are kind of on a Western theme. And, I'll be back next week doing some some Jimmie Rodgers songs. And then the week after that, I'll do some Carter family songs. And then the last week of this little online run is songs that I've written. But I'll do some that I've written now, just that kind of pertain to this theme. In October, I was out did a tour for High Plains Public Radio out in the western region of Kansas. Basically, their broadcasting region is what was the Dust Bowl. And when I was out there, I met somebody who remodeled houses, and he said in the houses there, they still find dust in the walls in old houses that stood during that time. It's the Dust Bowl dust. And it's just amazing that stuff is still there. My grandma and my great-grandmother, they all lived in that region during the Dust Bowl, and boy, what a time it must have been. So here's a song I wrote after reading the book The Worst Hard Time by Timothy Egan, called Don't Talk About Hard Times. Oh, the wind would blow the fields away, and clouds tall as the sun creep across the western plains and settle in the lungs of the ones who tried their best to make a living from the land. And the earth on which they hoped to live would end up killing them. Don't cry about hard times. You ain't seen no hard times before. So they build a little house of wood and a floor that's made of dust. And the little that they work to save, they put in a bank and trust. And through the droughts, through the storms, those blizzards black as night, they'd assure themselves they would survive come the end of 29. Don't cry about hard times. You ain't seen no hard times before. So Frankie came and saw the pain the country suffered through. The farmers down in Tennessee got electricity and food. There was a TVA and CCC and security for the old, but none needed more or suffered more than the ones in the Dust Bowl. Don't cry about hard times. You ain't seen no hard times before. And so he said, and so he sang, and so he told us all, this land is ours, and when it's gone, the rest of us will fall. He told their stories, he felt their pain, and he said how to survive, that somehow they came through what was the worst of the hard times. Don't cry about them. You ain't ever seen none before. Don't cry about hard times. You ain't ever seen none before. Thanks, y'all. Hi, Alvis. Thanks for the applause. I appreciate it. Yeah. Let me see. Let me try playing this one. I'm not sure how long this live stream will let me go, but I'll play a couple more songs. 2 more. I've had the good fortune of getting to play in Ireland a bunch of times, and it's always a good time to get to go spend some time out there. But this is a song that is always a hit when I go over there. They love a sad song in Ireland. They love music in Ireland. Ireland's amazing. This is a song that I wrote when I was working as a park ranger at Fort Laramie National Historic Site, and a lot of people who ended up in the West in the military, especially, were foreigners, people who had immigrated to the United States and couldn't necessarily find a place to be in the United States. They were, they couldn't find a job, they couldn't find places to live, etc. And the U.S. Army offered a lot of immigrants a job and a path forward in America. So, there were times in American history when the majority of the U.S. military was made up of immigrants. So you can imagine coming from, if you've ever been to Ireland, coming from Cork, Ireland, or Galway, or somewhere like that, and all of a sudden being out at Fort Laramie, Wyoming, and what that must have been like. So here's a song I wrote about that called "The Streets of New York." I sailed west across the ocean. My destination was New York. I enlisted in the army in time to fight the Civil War. Didn't have a reason, no particular side or cause, except I was starving to death on the streets of New York, and that's the only job there was. Fought on the fields at Antietam and the hills at Gettysburg, amongst the ranks of the men at Shiloh, and I watched Atlanta burn. When it all was over and the country took its rest, I stayed in the army, and the army sent me west. But I didn't leave my homeland to die upon the plains. Didn't join the army to be sleeping in the rain. I know I don't belong here at this distant western fort, but I suppose it's better than starving to death on the streets of New York. Well, the dawn just lit the morning, 2 weeks on a march. I heard a cry from the south of the camp, and the Indians made their charge. Men all made the warning, but it was to no avail. I got separated from the rest of the group as we followed the Indians' trail. Now I've been 12 days lost upon the range. I hope someone finds me soon. I can hear a lonely prairie wolf howling in a harvest moon. I'm lost, alone, and hungry. There's storm clouds to the north. I can't help but wish that I was back in New York. But I didn't leave my homeland to die upon the plains. I didn't join the army to be sleeping in the rain. I know I don't belong here at this distant western fort, but I suppose it's better than starving to death on the streets of New York. I sailed west across the ocean. My destination was New York. I enlisted in the army in time to fight the Civil War. whatever reason, no particular sign or cause, except I was starving to death on the streets of New York, and that's the only job there was. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate y'all tuning in. If you're around next week, stop on by. Same time, 3 p.m. Denver time, or whatever time it is where you are. I'll be here playing some songs of Jimmie Rodgers. I played a concert last night at Swallow Hill playing Jimmie Rodgers songs. And it went great, and I'd like to share that all with you. So it was a sold-out show. I know there were people who couldn't make it, so I thought I'd put some of those songs here so people could at least hear them. I love Jimmie Rodgers. Go check out Trade Songs American West. You can name your price. Sorry, I got to turn my tuner on. You can name your price. If you don't want the record but you still want to support me, you can put some money in my tip jar, which is on my website, martingilmore.com. I'll pop that up for you right here so you can see it. Oops, there it is. Right there on my homepage, you can go through PayPal, etc. I'm going to end with a song that I recorded when I lived in Egypt with an oud player named Islam El Abati. I met all these great musicians when I lived in Cairo. And Cairo's a great music city. So I wrote some songs, and just before we came home, during Ramadan, I went into a studio and recorded it. And when I was putting material together, I remembered a story from history that I always liked that is pretty funny. Kind of has a connection to Egypt and the American West, and that was back in the 1850s when somebody thought it would be a good idea to bring a bunch of camels over from the Middle East to the southwestern part of the United States to chase the Apaches around. And so along with those camels came camel drivers, and one of the camel drivers, his name was Haji Ali, but nobody said his name right. They all called him Hi Jolly. He was supposed to be a pretty funny, boisterous kind of guy. So when I was thinking about writing songs for this record, I came up with this one that I call Haji Ali, after old Hi Jolly, kind of hopefully convey some of his personality. This is true. This actually happened. You can look it up, the Camel Corps. Here it is. Well, now me, I am a camel man, I'm a Syrian, I'm an Ottoman. Came across to the Rio Grande under orders from Buchanan. Geronimo, our Apache foe, he rides the range to Mexico. Further than our horses go, and we think you can change the show. So call me Hi Jolly, Haji Ali. I'm a man of war in the Camel Corps, riding down on Mojave. Hey yo, Geronimo, what do you think of me? By golly, I'm Hi Jolly, Haji Ali. Ford, Mojave to Cape Verde, El Paso to Albuquerque. We packed up our dromedaries, showed the West Star Cavalry. With bales of mail, we hit the trail, going where the mules fail. After years of that travail, we just couldn't make the sale. So call me Hi Jolly, Haji Ali. I'm a man of war in the Camel Corps, riding down on the Mojave. Hey yo, Geronimo, what do you think of me? By golly, I'm Hi Jolly, Haji Ali. So we told our camels to vamoose when the army asked us to reduce. Left Geronimo to his old papoose. He and me, we called a truce. Now out there all around the west, you'll find my camels dispossessed. Even though I tried my best, I guess you know the rest. So call me High Jolly, Haji Ali. I'm a man of war in the Camel Corps, riding out on the Mojave. Hey, oh, Geronimo, what do you think of me? By golly, I'm High Jolly, Haji Ali. By golly, I'm High Jolly, Haji Ali. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Come on back next week. Same time right here on my channel. 3 p.m. Denver time on Sunday, playing the songs of Jimmie Rodgers just for you. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Go check out the record. martingilmore.bandcamp.com. There it is. And or martingilmore.com. You can find everything there. Thanks so much for listening. And drop something in the tip jar if you feel so inclined. Appreciate it. See you next time.